All right, deep divers, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're going exploring the worlds of human and insect and AI swarms.
Oh, wow.
All those things kind of working together. It's fascinating. We'll be using Zhenhe's article, The Laws of the Swarm,
Okay.
to guide us and look at those 6 principles that they lay out for how swarms survive and thrive.
Interesting.
Who knew there could be common ground between like a colony of ants and the entire internet?
Well, it is a very fascinating concept.
Yeah.
What Zhenhe does is connect these seemingly different worlds, biology and human society and artificial intelligence through this swarm behavior lens.
Yeah.
Really gets you to rethink intelligence, like how it operates on different scales.
So let's start there. What is a swarm?
Yeah.
I think we all had this picture in our minds of maybe a beehive or something.
Right.
But how can we even compare ant colonies to human societies,
Yeah.
let alone AI systems?
Well, the common thread is how they operate.
Okay.
A swarm at its core is decentralized. There's no, single leader calling the shots.
Got it.
You just have individual agents, whether it's ants or humans or AI bots,
Yeah.
all following relatively simple rules.
Mm-hmm.
And from those simple rules emerges complex, coordinated behavior.
Oh,
So no single ant is building a bridge, but the colony does.
right.
No single person dictates the stock market, but it reacts as a whole.
So each individual piece doesn't have the full picture, but collectively they create something much bigger than themselves.
Exactly.
That's what Zen calls emergent intelligence, right?
Exactly. And it's a concept that applies beautifully across all these different types of swarms. So you think about a flock of birds suddenly changing direction or a viral trend exploding on social media.
Mhm.
It's not about conscious planning. It's about patterns arising from simple interactions.
And they say that we humans, we're already part of this massive digital swarm just being connected through our online networks.
Right.
It's like we're all just little ants running around the internet,
Yeah.
bumping into each other and creating this constantly evolving information and trends.
The internet is perhaps the most vivid example of a human swarm today. Think about how information spreads, how communities form, how ideas gain momentum.
Yeah.
It's all happening through these decentralized self-organizing processes.
Wow.
And as AI becomes more integrated into that digital ecosystem, the dynamics of the swarm become even more complex and unpredictable.
So that's where things get really interesting. So let's dive into those 6 laws of the swarm, because that's what Zenzo's trying to make sense of all of this with, right?
Right.
These laws, they argue, govern how swarms thrive, whether it's, a hive of bees or a network of AI bots.
Right. But rather than go through them one by one like a checklist, I think it's more insightful to look for the thematic connections between them.
Okay.
That's where we uncover the real parallels between all these different types of swarms.
I love that. It makes it more of a detective investigation instead of just reading off a list.
Right.
So where should we start our investigation?
Well, let's begin with the foundations of any successful swarm: sustainability and adaptation.
Okay.
Zen calls these the laws of economic autonomy and adaptive reproduction.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So whether we're talking about an ant colony or the global economy, a swarm has to be able to provide for itself and evolve over time.
Absolutely. And when you look at AI swarms, these laws manifest in fascinating ways.
Okay.
So AI agents need to be able to earn digital assets to essentially make a living in their digital environment. They also need to adapt to change, which could mean selectively breeding the most successful agents or even designing entirely new agents for specific tasks.
So it's like natural selection, but in the digital world.
It's a very compelling analogy. And just like in biological evolution, this constant adaptation is what allows AI swarms to become more efficient and resilient over time.
So you're saying that by studying how AI swarms achieve sustainability and adaptability, we might learn some valuable lessons for our own systems.
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a growing field of research dedicated to exploring these very questions.
Okay.
By observing how these AI swarms operate, we might discover new principles of organization and adaptation that could be applied to a wide range of human endeavors.
That's what I call a deep dive.
Yeah.
So we've got sustainability and adaptation. What other thematic links are you seeing between these laws?
Well, let's move on to the principles of coexistence and collaboration.
Okay.
Zen frames these as the laws of symbiotic coexistence and cohesion and communication.
Got it.
This is all about how swarms interact both within themselves and with the outside world.
Because a swarm isn't just a bunch of isolated individuals doing their own thing, right?
Right.
It's about how they communicate, how they work together to achieve a common goal.
Precisely. And when it comes to AI swarms, these laws are particularly relevant because they highlight the potential for collaboration between humans and AI.
Okay.
The key idea is that AI shouldn't be seen as a replacement for humans, but rather as a powerful tool for augmentation and collaboration.
Okay, I'm seeing the connection here. We rely on each other in human societies.
Mm-hmm.
Different species have symbiotic relationships in nature.
Right.
And now we're figuring out how humans and AI can work together, maybe even benefit each other.
That's the heart of it.
Yeah.
Zenna points to examples like AI assisting with data analysis, making complex information digestible for humans, or AI monitoring environmental changes to provide early warnings.
Yeah.
These are all instances where AI is enhancing human capabilities, not replacing them.
It's like having a super intelligent research assistant working around the clock.
Yeah.
Crunching numbers, spotting patterns, and giving us the insights we need to make better decisions.
That's a great way to put it. But for this collaboration to be truly effective, we need to ensure smooth communication and clear objectives. We need to establish protocols, develop intuitive interfaces, and create mechanisms for ongoing dialogue between humans and AI developers.
So it's not just about AI being able to talk to each other, it's about AI being able to talk to us in a way that we understand and can trust.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of cohesion comes in. A successful swarm, whether biological or artificial, requires a shared understanding of goals and a clear set of rules for interaction.
Okay, so we've got sustainability and adaptation, coexistence and collaboration. I'm sensing a pattern here. These laws aren't just about how individual swarms function. They're about how swarms interact with each other and the larger world around them. It's starting to feel like one big interconnected web of swarm intelligence.
That's a great observation, and it leads us nicely into the final two laws, which we'll explore in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
These laws address the big picture question of how swarms adapt to a constantly changing environment and how they achieve complex goals that would be impossible for individual agents acting alone.
All right, I'm hooked. We've only just scratched the surface here, and I'm already seeing the world in a whole new light. Ants, humans, AI bots, we're all connected in this intricate dance of swarm intelligence.
We've only just begun to explore the depths of this concept. And the deeper we dive, the more fascinating the connections become. Welcome back, deep divers. We're picking back up with our exploration of the fascinating world of swarms.
Yeah. Last time we were talking about how they adapt and evolve.
Yeah, remember those final two laws of the swarm from Zen Us?
Yeah.
Environmental adaptation.
Yeah.
And emergence and goal alignment. Let's dive into those a little bit.
So those are about the big picture.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
we talked about how swarms sustain themselves and collaborate, but now we're getting into how they actually impact the world around them.
Exactly. Moving beyond just surviving to actually thriving and achieving complex goals. Think about a colony of ants that encounters a stream in its path.
Okay.
So individually, they can't cross it.
Right.
But as a swarm, they can actually link their bodies together and form a living bridge.
Wow.
It's a perfect example of how a swarm can adapt to its environment to achieve a collective goal.
That's incredible. And you're saying AI swarms can do similar things, like adapt to those unexpected challenges and solve problems that are beyond the capabilities of any single AI.
Precisely. Zenai gives the example of AI managing a city's traffic flow.
Okay.
So if there is a sudden accident, the AI can analyze real-time data, reroute vehicles, and minimize congestion, all without any human intervention.
So it's not just reacting to change, it's almost anticipating it. Like the AI can learn from past traffic patterns and predict where bottlenecks might form, preventing problems before they even arise.
It really is. And that's the power of environmental adaptation in AI swarms. They can analyze vast amounts of data, identify patterns, and adjust their strategies in real time to navigate a constantly changing landscape.
Wow.
Whether it's traffic flow, energy grids, or even financial markets, AI swarms have the potential to make our systems more efficient, resilient, and responsive.
Okay, this is where I start to get a little uneasy. If these AI swarms are so adaptable, so intelligent, how do we ensure that their goals align with our own? What's stopping them from going rogue and making decisions that we wouldn't agree with?
You hit on a very crucial point, and it's where emergence and goal alignment comes into play. It's not enough for a swarm to be intelligent. It needs to be intelligent in a way that benefits both itself and its human collaborators.
Right, okay.
This is where the ethics of AI development becomes so important.
Right. We can't just let these AI swarms run wild, making their own decisions without any regard for human values. It's like that old sci-fi trope, the robots taking over,
Right.
because they've decided humans are inefficient or irrational.
Right. While those scenarios are certainly entertaining in fiction, the real challenge lies in designing AI systems that are aligned with human values from the outset.
Okay.
So that means building in safeguards, establishing clear objectives, and ensuring that human oversight remains a critical component of any AI system, especially those operating as swarms.
So it's not just about writing code, it's about thinking through the potential consequences of that code. Like, what could happen if the AI misinterprets its goals, or if those goals conflict with human values?
Exactly. Imagine an AI swarm managing a hospital. We'd want to ensure it prioritizes patient care above all else, not just minimizing costs, which might lead to ethically questionable decisions. The challenge is to translate those abstract values like compassion and fairness into concrete algorithms and decision-making frameworks.
That sounds incredibly complex. How do you even begin to teach an AI about ethics? It's not like you can just upload a philosophy textbook into its code.
It's definitely a complex challenge and one that researchers are actively working on.
Okay.
One approach is to focus on transparency and explainability in AI systems.
Okay.
So that means being able to understand how the AI is making decisions so we can identify and correct any biases or misalignments.
So it's like giving the AI a moral compass, teaching it to not only follow rules, but to understand the reasons behind those rules and the values they reflect.
That's a good analogy. It's about instilling a sense of ethical awareness in AI so that it can not only make decisions, but also justify those decisions in a way that aligns with human values. And this ties back to that theme of cohesion and communication we discussed earlier. We need to be able to have a dialogue with AI, understand its reasoning, and provide feedback so that it can continuously learn and improve.
This all sounds incredibly promising, but also a bit daunting. It's like we're standing on the cusp of a whole new era of intelligence, and we're still figuring out the rules of the game.
That's a great way to put it. The rise of intelligent swarms, particularly AI swarms, is a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
It's a journey into uncharted territory, and it requires us to rethink our assumptions about intelligence, collaboration, and even our own role in shaping the future.
Okay, so we've got these powerful AI swarms emerging, capable of adapting learning and achieving complex goals. But we also have these ethical challenges and the need to ensure that AI remains aligned with human values. What does all this mean for us, for society as a whole? How do we navigate this new landscape of intelligent swarms without getting lost in the process?
That's the big question, isn't it? And it's one that we'll be exploring in more depth in the final part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll look at the societal implications of these laws of the swarm, the potential benefits and risks, and what steps we can take to ensure that this incredible technology is used for good.
All right, deep divers, stay tuned for part 3, where we'll tackle these big questions and try to make sense of what it means to be human in a world increasingly shaped by swarms of intelligent machines.
Yeah.
Welcome back, deep divers. My mind is still buzzing from those first 4 laws of the swarm.
Yeah.
Who knew that there were so many parallels between ant colonies and global markets and AI algorithms?
It is a fascinating journey. Seeing those connections emerge really shifts your perspective on how intelligence operates in the world.
Yeah, and we've still got those final 2 laws to unpack.
Right.
Environmental adaptation and emergence and goal alignment. They seem to be all about the big picture impact of swarms, right? Not just how they function internally, but how they shape the world around them. And that's where things start to feel both exciting and a little bit unnerving.
That's a very common reaction. Zena does a great job of highlighting both the immense potential of swarms and the very real challenges we face as we integrate these systems into our lives, especially as AI becomes more sophisticated.
So let's dive right into those big questions. We've established that AI swarms are becoming incredibly adaptable, capable of solving complex problems and making decisions in real time. But how do we make sure that they're making the right decisions? The ones that align with human values and don't lead us down some dystopian path?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's one that researchers and ethicists and policymakers are grappling with right now. One approach that Zen highlights is the importance of transparency and explainability in AI systems.
Okay.
If we can't understand how an AI is making decisions, we can't be sure those decisions are aligned with our values or our best interests.
Yeah, it's like that classic black box problem. We see the AI's actions, but we don't understand the reasoning behind them. That can lead to mistrust, especially as AI systems become more autonomous and have a greater impact on our lives.
Exactly. And as AI swarms become more complex, involving multiple interacting agents, that explainability challenge becomes even greater. It's not enough to understand how a single AI is making decisions.
Right.
We need to understand how those decisions are being influenced by the dynamics of the entire swarm.
So it's like trying to understand the collective mind of an ant colony.
Right.
Figuring out how those simple interactions between individual ants lead to those complex, coordinated behaviors. That sounds challenging, to say the least.
It is, but it's a challenge we need to address head on. One promising approach is to develop new tools and techniques for visualizing and interpreting the decision-making processes of AI swarms.
Yep.
This could involve creating heat maps that show how information flows through the swarm, or developing algorithms that can translate the AI's actions into human understandable explanations.
So it's like giving the AI swarm a voice, a way to communicate its reasoning to us in a way that we can grasp.
Yeah.
That feels crucial if we want to build trust and collaboration between humans and AI systems.
Absolutely, and it ties back to that concept of cohesion that we discussed earlier. A successful swarm, whether biological or artificial, requires a shared understanding of goals and a clear set of rules for interaction. That holds true for human-AI interaction as well.
Yeah.
We need to establish clear communication channels, build trust, and ensure that both sides are working towards a common objective.
Okay, so let's assume we can crack the explainability nut. We can understand how AI swarms are making decisions, and we can ensure those decisions align with human values. What does that future look like? What's the best-case scenario for how these swarms might shape the world?
Well, Zenz paints a picture of a future where AI swarms are working alongside humans to solve some of our biggest challenges.
Okay.
Imagine AI managing global energy grids, optimizing resource allocation, even assisting with disaster relief efforts. It's a vision where AI augments human intelligence, helping us make better decisions and create a more sustainable, equitable world.
It's a compelling vision, but I have to admit it also raises some anxieties. What about job displacement? What about the potential for AI to be used for surveillance or control? What happens to human agency in a world where so many decisions are being made by intelligent machines?
Those are all valid concerns, and it's crucial that we address them proactively. The future of AI is not predetermined. It's something we're actively shaping through our choices, our values, and our actions. We need to engage in thoughtful, nuanced conversations about the ethical implications of these technologies and develop safeguards to mitigate potential risks.
So it's not just about the code itself. It's about the social and ethical frameworks we build around it. The rules of engagement, the lines we draw, the values we choose to prioritize.
Exactly. We need to be intentional about the kind of future we want to create with AI, and that requires a collective effort involving everyone, from AI developers and policymakers to educators and everyday citizens.
This is a lot to process. It's like we're staring into a kaleidoscope, seeing all these potential futures swirling around us. Exciting, terrifying, uncertain. It's a lot to hold in our minds at the same time.
It is, but that's the nature of any truly transformative technology. It challenges us to rethink our assumptions, to push beyond our comfort zones, to imagine new possibilities.
Well, I think we've covered an incredible amount of ground in this deep dive. We've gone from the humble ant colony to the frontiers of AI, exploring how these principles of swarm intelligence are shaping the world around us and the future that lies ahead.
It's been a fascinating journey, and I hope our listeners are walking away with a sense of both the immense potential and the profound responsibility that comes with harnessing this incredible power of swarm intelligence.
I know I am. And as we wrap up this episode, I'm left with a feeling of cautious optimism. We have a lot of work to do, a lot of tough questions to answer, but I believe that if we approach these challenges with wisdom, humility, and a deep commitment to human values, we can create a future where AI empowers us, connects us, and helps us build a better world for all.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of the laws of the swarm. We hope you'll continue to explore these ideas, engage in critical conversations, and help shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
And as always, be sure to check out the show notes for links to all the resources we discussed and some additional food for thought. Until next time, keep your minds curious and your swarms aligned.